Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Concert Junkies, Rob and John. Oh, yeah.
All right, we're live.
Hey.
That was a cool intro. I saw the intro.
Thank you. All right.
What up, everybody?
So if you are new here, I am Rob.
I'm Allie, Violet Vixen.
And Brian.
I am Brian McLean, concert junkie from Fort Worth, Texas.
Nice.
So would you like to give us a little background?
Sure. My name is Brian. I'm a first-year Gen Xer, and about 2 years ago, I decided to bring an idea to life, and I wrote a book. It was more of a memoir, and it's called Photography, Friends, Fate, and Fun, and it's pretty much how concert photos I was being shown as a high school kid fired up a passion in me to become a photographer. But while in high school, I encountered so many roadblocks about going to concerts. It was like pulling teeth. And so that only fueled the passion even more. And basically the reason why I wrote this book, Photography, Friends, Fate, and Fun, is because I wanted to relay all these stories, put all these stories down for my daughter so she understands, why her dad is the way he is. I'm not your typical father at 60. But music's been playing a major part of my life ever since I was 7 or 8 years old. I mean, I'm proud to say, and I'll wear it on my sleeve, I saw Elvis Presley twice in concert. Thank you to the family.
Was that the most impressive show that you've been to? Because I was just about to ask, what has been like that concert for you that just sticks out when someone even mentions it?
Well, I was almost 9 when I first saw Elvis for the first time. I was like,
okay,
8 years and 10 months. And so I knew I was at a concert, but I guess it was just like information overload. I mean, sensory overload. So much was going on. I mean, we're on the front row, and we're just looking, straight up at them. So I really couldn't see what was going on behind me.
And you were 9. Yeah, I get it.
And I was 9, but it was, I had some, crazy experiences there on the front row. But it was, I'm glad there's documentaries out there, like Elvis on Tour or That's the Way It Is. Because like on Elvis on Tour, when he hits the stage and they have like a camera angle from behind him, you just see all the flash bulbs going off. And I imagine that's what was happening when he came out with everybody, 14,000 people behind me, behind our family of 4. So, I imagine that's what was happening, because my dad even had his Instamatic camera.
Now, do you still have his original camera?
I don't think we have the Instamatic camera anymore, but I still have the scarf I pulled off of Elvis's neck.
Oh, wow. What colors? Tell us about it.
It's baby blue. It's got some sweat stains on it. So you want me to tell you the story, how it happened? Because, I talk about that.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So we're on the front row, and it was a client of my father that gave my father 4 tickets on the front row to go see Elvis on a Sunday matinee show. He would fly in and play 2 shows on a Saturday and a Sunday. Sunday matinee, Saturday matinee, then Saturday and Sunday nights. And we had front row on the Sunday matinee show. And throughout the course of the show, I had 4 or 5 scarves thrown to me, and I had my hands on them. But these crazy female fans would run up from behind. I'd get into tug of war, and I would lose. And, I think I just snapped on the last time on the 5th tug of war battle, whatever.
It was yours.
Yeah. and I punched the lady like below the waist as hard as I could. I mean, I was furious. So what happened was, back then there was no barricade, no photo pit, no barricade or anything like that. And the security guards were 4 police officers. And so my dad explained to the officer that was right in front of us what was happening. And so my father asked the officer, would you hold these women back next time Elvis comes over to our side of the stage? And I'm going to lift my son up to the stage. And the officer said, yeah, no problem. So, he comes over our side of the stage. Those women come running right back up. The officer holds them back. My dad puts me up to the stage, and Elvis kneels down, and I'm face to face with Elvis. I mean, like face to face. I can see the beaded sweat on his neck, on his forehead, and everything. And I pulled the scarf off of from his left side, and I remember it getting caught up on that, that big German cross that he'd wear. I don't know what it's called, but it got hung up on that, and I pulled it off, and then my dad brought me back down, and I immediately gave it to my mother, and she threw it into her purse, and that's how I got my scarf. It was the second scarf our family secured. My mom secured one earlier in the show, and so that's how I got my scarf. And so
Was scarf collecting like a thing at Elvis shows?
He would wear these scarves and he would throw them out.
Oh, okay.
And he would, wipe his sweat, or, and it would just be wrapped around his neck, and he would, the sweat stains would be on him, and he would throw them out. And so they were sought after, because usually only people in the first couple rows would get them. And sometimes he would just gently, hand them to somebody specifically, or he would drop it and stuff like that. And I had my hands on 4 or 5 scarves throughout the night, but they always got taken away from me until my dad lifted me up to the stage. So if you watch some old footage of Elvis, you'll see scarves around his neck, and it's kind of crazy, watching him, throw it out there or drop it down, and then people get into tug of war matches and everything for him.
Isn't it wild when you're a kid, like when you go to see a show, and like how it might, at that moment, it might seem really like just crazy, and like that you're just at like an event. But I remember my parents took me to Rolling Stones, and like I didn't understand it when I was young. I mean, like I thought they were cool and like flashy, but I mean, like I didn't have the same appreciation I have for them now.
Yeah, you didn't understand the magnitude of what you were experiencing and the importance of what you're experiencing. So, it sounds like you saw the Stones, maybe, obviously, when you're young, and they were much younger, and things like that. And so it's just, I didn't really start appreciating the magnitude of it till about 25, 30 years ago. Because, when I was in high school, I graduated in 1984. It wasn't cool to like Elvis, it was cool to like, Van Halen, the Stones, the Cars, or whatever band.
Now you realize how cool your parents were.
Yeah, my dad was, we were very fortunate. And then, we saw him in 76, but we were up in the lower balcony off to the left, off the stage right. But I'm very appreciative of the fact that, being such a music fan I am, that I got to witness that. And I have something to show for it. Besides, just memories, I have actually something I can hold in my hand that, that's now in a shadow box, but I have a physical memento from the show. And what's crazy is, a couple of years ago at a used record store here locally, I went and I purchased an Elvis album, and tucked into the album was the tour program from those run of dates. So I've got like a concert program from those run of dates in 74.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
So we know you're an Elvis fan.
Yes.
But who are you listening to now? Like, I know Elvis, you're probably still listening to Elvis now, but I'm saying,
so really
all the photographer up and coming, is there any up and coming bands that you would really enjoy now?
Yeah. So earlier, probably a couple of hours ago, I don't want the listeners to crucify me because I can't pronounce the name, but it's that Quebec band that has the crazy costumes, the polka dots. The two guys that played the mono tone notes, or the molecular notes, whatever, that went viral a couple months ago. They're completely dressed in black and white polka dots, and their costumes, the colors are opposite of each other. So one's black with white polka dots. The other guy is white with polka dots.
And you
And
said
I
they're
was
from
listening to those
Canada?
guys, listening to the Crownlands, the latest Crownlands. Yesterday I was listening to a live broadcast of Rush from the Permanent Waves album. I guess it all depends the mood I'm in. Growing older, my musical palette has just really, really expanded. And so I guess it just all depends the mood that I'm in that I want to listen to. I was listening to Monster Magnet yesterday. I went on a Cars marathon a couple days ago. I guess it's just, I don't know. I guess it depends on the mood I'm in. I was listening to The Skull, a couple days ago. So I just have such a wide variety of music.
Okay, are you talking about Angina Day?
Yes, they're French Canadian. They're from Quebec.
Poltratrine or Teen. Oh my gosh, can this band just come on? Because just come on and tell us all about your name. That's a beautiful name, but yeah, that's a tongue twister.
That is French. It translates into something crazy. So, put it into Google and translate. I can't remember what it says, but it's something crazy. But so, they played a show for they set up in a radio station studio, I guess in France or something, and they filmed it. And then a couple weeks later, it went out on YouTube, and then it started gaining traction. And a couple months ago, it was at 12 million views. And so the demand for them is so high. They got dates selling out and venues increasing from the original venue because the demand for tickets is so high. And there's really no vocals to the music. It's all very, it's all instrumental. And it's I guess they call it math rock.
Are you getting their picture?
I don't have any pictures. I mean,
Are they going to let you?
I don't know. I mean, I'd be more than happy to photograph them, but they don't have a Dallas date set yet.
Okay, well, speaking of that.
Yes.
For somebody that's coming up to be a photographer.
Okay.
Any words of wisdom of being in the pit and the etiquette and
yes,
how to get the passes, everything.
Okay, so when I first started shooting, I didn't know what I was doing or whatever, but I was very fortunate because we had a very healthy hard rock metal club scene. And in 1986, I think all major cities had a really solid rock scene. You had bands that would come in for a week and they'd bring in their own production and stuff like that. So I was very fortunate with the bands that I was able to photograph. It wasn't until I transferred to TCU in the spring of '86 and I started shooting on University Daily. And the first day that the photo editor told me, he told me two things. He says, "It doesn't matter what you shoot." He goes, "It matters what your stuff looks like." And then he says, "You don't have to major in Photo J to be a photojournalist," which is totally true because I did not major in Photo J, but that's what I do now. And then maybe 9 months later, I was shooting a soccer game, and I was talking to one of the photographers from the Star Telegram who I looked up to as a mentor, and he told me in the stories in the book, he told me that he was going to be moving to Seattle. So he was ahead of the curve on Seattle in '86, 3.5 years before everything broke out in Seattle, I guess.
Did he get Nirvana?
Yeah, he had studio stuff in Nirvana. And I remember him telling me, he goes, "I know this is not what you want to hear," because he knew my passion was music, but he said, "Just shoot newspaper for a couple of years, you will understand." And, it was hard to understand at that time. But when I look back on it, and after shooting a couple years in newspaper, that's when everything clicked. It's like, okay, I got you. I got it now. So, I can shoot anything. I just don't shoot music. I do a lot of sports. I had to open up my summer for, a possible family matter. So I had to withdraw from the World Cup because I was going to be approved for the World Cup, but I had to withdraw from it because I had to leave my summer open for a possible family matter. I'm kind of bummed about that, but
Yeah, you would have been over near us. Isn't that
yeah.
in Philly?
No, I would have been.
New Jersey?
They've got 9. They have 9 matches scheduled at AT&T Stadium.
Oh,
No, Jerry World. Where the Cowboys play. But
okay.
they've changed it to Dallas Stadium, and everybody's mad about that. But anyways, so I can shoot sports, I can shoot music, but being able to do both and having that editorial background, I feel like that gives me just a little extra boost when I'm photographing like music. Etiquette wise, spatial awareness, don't step in front of somebody. I mean, it's crazy. I was shooting Alice Cooper and I was lining up for a photo and I had this person just walk right in front of me, stop, and I'm like, what are you doing? So a lot of these people think they can just go into the pit and shoot or whatever, but there's etiquette, there's protocol, there's just things that you learn.
How do you
as you go
kind of
along.
deal with that? Because I have people do it to me. I take pictures when I'm there of bands that have come on my show, and people are rude sometimes. Like, what do you do when like they don't kind of read the room and kind of move out of the way?
I pick, I've never really said anything, but I'll pick my battles on that. If it starts happening first time, okay, I'll let you slide. But if it happens 2 and 3 times, but that has never happened to me, if it's happened 2 or 3 times, then I'll say something. Say, hey, listen, you got to beware of everybody here. It's not just you, And it's like, it was an arena show. It's like, and so it's crazy how you have people, the marketing team or whatever, they do that and they don't realize they're doing it. And it's like, come on, we get 3 songs.
Yep.
Just be aware.
First 3 songs.
Yeah, we get 3 songs. I remember one show they used the taped introduction as one song. It's like, what are you doing? No, that's not the 3rd song. This is the 2nd song. There's one more song, and and everybody was trying to argue with the the marketing person, but we had to leave, and it's like, we really only got 2 songs because that introduction is not a song. The introduction they're playing over the PA before the band hits, that is not a song. So
damn, they got gypped.
Yeah, we sure did.
So what do you do when, say, you have your watermark on your photos, but somebody else is using it?
I'm very fortunate. I've never had that happen to me, or that I'm aware of. But
I see it a lot. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, I read about it a lot. I think what I would do is I would reach out to that person. I said, you're crossing a line here. You can just remove it and admit your mistake, or I can have somebody reach out to you and we can go that route.
Because there is, what do you call it? There is, I don't know what website it is, but there is, I don't remember. I have it in my phone somewhere. You can take watermarks off anything.
Oh yeah, they have apps now that do that. But the good thing is here's the good thing. A lot of people don't know that there's information embedded into the camera. I mean, there's information embedded into the photo. You can put a watermark on it, but when you actually open up that photo, there's information in there. And
that's what I was going to ask you. How do you feel about AI with changing the dynamic of the photo? Because somebody can go in and prompt it to rearrange a photo that you've done, and it wouldn't have the same info on it.
Well, I was talking about metadata. I would think they could rearrange the visuals of the picture, but I mean, I don't know if they can actually go in and do the metadata, because it's like a timestamp built into the photo itself. When you're processing the editing, it's a timestamp, and all the information and who you're shooting for, cut line information, the event, just all this information. And I shoot for a wire service, and that's information that they need when we upload to the wire in the photo desk, and then the images get distributed globally instantly. They're available instantly as soon as I upload them. And so editors on photo desk and throughout the world, they use that information to write their captions and stuff, because the caption is actually embedded into the photo.
As a photographer, and since you are getting, shots of like moments in time,
Okay.
and time does change, is there a period, like if you get something, that you will promote it as something that you did in that moment? When does it become like a throwbacks kind of situation?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's a really good question. I walked away from photography for, was it 27 years or so? I walked away. I talk about that in the book, the reasons why I walked away and everything. And then, I stepped back into it, and the only thing I had to do was just learn the digital world. And so, I mean, I got photos that I've shot from 40 years ago. That's, oh yeah, that's a throwback photo, like an old black and white of somebody. I mean, I would consider that a throwback. Geez, it's been 40 years since I shot that photo, or 39 years, or whatever. Maybe even a photo from a couple years ago might be able to be considered a throwback. The shooting started getting serious again in, it's only 2023 is when I jumped on with the wire service. And so that's when I started getting the credentials. And so, college, some professional, concerts, news, sports, and entertainment, I'll photograph it. So music wise, I guess even maybe 3 years still might be considered new or something like that. So maybe about 5 or 7 years, a couple more years up front that I could look back. So it might be a little throwback or something.
I was just asking because some of these artists, they change their whole look for each album. And like, I feel like some of them do kind of get annoyed if you post like an older picture without kind of giving that disclaimer that it's a throwback or an older picture.
Wow. Wow. I've never even, thought about that. That's crazy. Wow, that's never even crossed my mind. I just, I shoot, I edit, I upload, and I move on. I just next assignment. Okay, shoot, edit, move on. Okay, what do I got coming up next? Stuff like that. I've never really even thought about that, or anything like that.
Now, on an average photo,
Okay.
what is like the process, and like how long does each photo take you? Because I think that a lot of people, when they hear photographer, they just think, oh, they're just printing up and putting it through AI and this, that, and the other thing. And there's really a lot more to it, especially when you're going through a newspaper or you're doing something that you kind of have to.
Okay. So, let me take let's set the scenario. I shoot a lot of FC Dallas. Obviously, nothing's happening right now because of the World Cup. So my next FC Dallas related match is going to be their farm team on July 4th. There's a new stadium for the farm team that's been built, and opening night of the stadium is July 4th, so I'll be there. And so what I do is I rate my photos. So while I'm shooting, because I'm not shooting the entire field, I will shoot from a certain point forward towards me. So when they're way down at the other end of the field, I'm not even photographing that because they're too far away. So I will shoot, I stay in the same spot for both halves, so I get both teams attacking the goal. And so when they're down there, I rate my photos. And it's like, okay, I like this one, I like this one, okay, bypass that one. And so by the end of the night, by the end of the game, I may have shot 800, 900 photos of the game. But when I fire up my computer and I fire up a thing called Photo Mechanics, I upload those images from the card, pulls them in, and then I only select the photos that are rated. So let's say I've rated 40 photos out of 900, only those 40 photos will come up. So I just start working on those photos, and the light and everything stays pretty much consistent. And so the only thing I'm really changing up is the, the cropping, how do I want to make this crop, and if I have to level the horizon or whatever. And then once I get done doing that, then I go in back into photo mechanics and I start inputting my metadata.
Mm.
And so, and it probably take me about an hour. Once I get back up there, usually an hour 10 minutes, and I have everything submitted. Rating the photos makes it really easy because, I even though
I
I was
might
away
start
from,
doing that. That sounds
Uh,
like a plan because
yeah, I mean, you can go in the Lightroom and pull your rated photos also. I don't know
Well,
what software you use. I use Photo Mechanics for my metadata and my rated photos, and then I do my editing in Lightroom.
my camera has Bluetooth on it, so it goes right to my phone.
Wow, there you go. Yeah, see,
So
so
if you ever see, as long as I have like a Wi-Fi area, I can. Oh, you want this photo? I could just send it to you right then and there
yeah,
without
so
editing or anything.
I mean, there's photographers out there that they'll have their computer next to them and they'll upload from they'll
Yeah.
upload their photos from the field, but they're not editing. There's somebody back in the office editing and captioning. They're just shooting it and sending them out. Whereas like I will capture, I will edit, caption, and upload.
So what kind of camera are you shooting on?
What kind of camera now? I'm shooting on. I have two Canon R3s, and before football season starts, I plan on getting a R5 Mark II. And then I have 3 lenses right now. So I made the mirrorless jump last year. So I have 3 lenses right now. I have a 24 to 105 RF28. I have a 300. I have the 100 to 300 Canon RF28. Then I have a 400 2.8, which is going to be my football lens. And then there's a fisheye that I may get that's RF, but right now I can just throw my 8 to 15 EF on with a converter, and I
Okay,
can use that.
speaking of the fisheye,
that's
there's actually
popular right now.
there's actually an app on your phone for it, and I have it.
Oh yeah, nice. I mean, I love extreme wide angles, but I'm very particular about when I do them, and it's mainly if, let's say, if I go up high in a stadium. So, my first fisheye stadium photo I took when I started shooting again, I was right outside the press box, on the end at the corner of a end zone down in Waco at Baylor, and they were playing UT, and I planned to do that photo because I knew UT, which was only an hour and a half down the road, it'd be a full house, and I got a nice picture of the stadium that was full, and then the Baylor doing the student run, because the students will run from one end of the end zone, one end of the field to the opposite end, and they'll be coming running. So they run, across the field to the opposing corner, and so it just looks really good. You see the sea of yellow just crossing, through the middle of the field, and then sometimes I'll go out to like center court when I get there early for a basketball game, and I'll just shoot straight up and use a fisheye. I've gotten some really nice stuff, but I'm very, I'm particular about when I use it, and it's usually to get like a stadium shot somehow.
Can I just ask, like you said,
Sure.
that you do the captions?
Uh-huh.
Like,
Yes.
do you get frustrated with that? Because I get so tired of making the captions. Like, do you have to stick within a certain thing with them, or how does that work? Because
It's
if you're
basically
uploading all those pictures, that's a lot of captions you have to come up with. Hey,
okay.
I'm a
So
content creator. I get it.
so in photo mechanics, um, I have a template. I will have a template. Okay.
Okay.
And so I'll throw up the template, and the template it'll have all the information, and then for the caption part of the template, it'll say during their match Friday night at Toyota Stadium in Frisco.
Okay.
Okay. So there is a software, and this guy tapped into a market. There's a software that I have that you use in photo mechanics. And before the game, we download rosters, and we have a code, and you put in the code, you'll put in like just like the letter D for Dallas slash and then a jersey number. And then all of a sudden that person will pop up. You don't have to type their name. You just go D/9. Boom, that person's name, position pops up. And so that cuts a lot of time down. And you can say like so-and-so defends against so-and-so during their game at Toyota Stadium Saturday night in Frisco. And so, and then sometimes you have a series of photos. It's the same two people. It's just, the actions is a little different because you got the series. So what you do, you get that first caption done, and then you hit copy, you go to the next photo, and it says paste. And so the same information will come up. So you can knock out 5 photos within 20 seconds once you get that first caption written. If you got another 4 photos that follows, 15, 20 seconds, those 5 photos are going to be captioned because it's all the same people. It's just the action's a little different in each photo.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, that takes a lot of time off your hands.
Yes.
I always wonder with the captions, because like a caption really, that's a big part of the photo also, especially when it's on social media and you're trying to kind of push your photography. It's a big part of it.
Right. And I just do, what I was taught when I was shooting newspaper for the university, and then for the Major Daily when I started shooting as a freelancer for the Major Daily. Who, what, where, when, and why. Sometimes there's a how. Who, what, where, when, and why. The 5 W's that you learned as a kid in writing class in English or whatever. Who, what, where, when, and why, and then how. Sometimes we throw the how in there in that order, and there's the caption.
So what has been a memorable moment that you've caught? I mean, honestly, I'm from Philly, so you know how us Eagles fans are. So I am going to cringe every time you bring up the Cowboys. But if it has to do with the Cowboys, I'll listen through the story.
Yeah. No, I'm not much of a Cowboys fan. And
okay.
I think, I was at one time, but, they've had a 30-year drought. And so there's a common denominator, and I'll just leave it at that. Okay. And that's what people are tired of. I don't know. Music wise.
Music or sports. I mean, so many things happen, and there's so many moments, and I'm sure out of 900 each show, there's been some moments that have been caught. And even if it's crazy, like, you don't have to say who it was, and like,
okay. Well, I can say, huh?
Then even if you didn't catch it on film, like,
oh, okay.
Sometimes we go to shows just for ourselves.
Don't confuse him. I want to know about one he caught on film. I don't need to know who it was, but I want to hear about the story you caught on film.
Okay. I'll put it this way. So, remember early on, I said, the photographer that told me that was moving to Seattle, he said, just shoot newspaper for a couple of years. You'll understand. Well, one of those parts of now I understand is anticipation. You see something develop and you go, oh, I better start looking at this. And that's what I was doing. So as funny as it sounds, probably my most badass photo is of a boy band, not a metal band.
Yes. They're good. They know what they're doing.
So I was photographing what is called the iHeartRadio Jingle Ball. I've shot that the last 3 years.
I've been there. Okay. Who was it?
So this was, it'll be 3 years ago this November. We had Big Time Rush down here. Okay. And so, at the Jingle Ball, they got that big LED screen behind, the band doing or whatever. Okay. So during Big Time Rush's set, they had the screen, it just said Big Time Rush in these huge, huge letters. And so, 4 guys going all over the place. And so I saw one of the guys, he was going to the left, and then he jumped up on a riser, and he was engaging with the crowd over on stage right on the side stage. But I saw him lining up at the edge of the thing that he jumped up on. So the riser, he was lining up at the edge of the riser, and I said, something's going to happen. And so
he's about to jump.
I zeroed in on him, and he did a backflip, and I caught it.
Yes.
And it's like, and the NBA photographer that was sitting next to me missed it, and he was pissed, but I got it. And so if you go to my website, onassignmentphoto.com, you will see that photo. And it's just like, so he's doing the backflip. So what it is the photo that they ran with, the editorial people, the photo they ran with was when his back was perpendicular to the stage. So he was just, he already went, I guess he went, 45 degree, no, 90. Yeah, I guess he already went.
I got
his back, his knees were facing his shins were facing the crowd, and his back was basically parallel with the stage. And then to the right, the way I cropped it, you just see big, really, you see the word big, really, really big, because it was there on that LED screen, and all the elements worked, and the image is tack sharp. I don't think you can get any more sharpness on a photo. And it is because I have the editorial background that I was able to anticipate that. And so, grabbing jumping shots is easy for me. If you see something happen, if I see it, if I see it, it's like, okay, something's going to happen. I zero in on that. I mean, I could be photographing somebody else and there'd be a jump shot. I don't know about it because I wasn't there. But if I see something developing, it's like, okay, I need to concentrate on this person. So, I mean, I love the photo, and I don't know anything about Big Time Rush. All I know is my daughter loved them when she was a kid, and she loves the photo. And it's my favorite music photo that I've shot, and it's of a boy band.
You know what? I've got to do some interviews, and I've got to see some of the boy bands live. And you know what? They are so impressive. I'm gonna be honest. Their dancing is on point. They're all in sync. Look, I'm about to put a pun out there. They're all in sync. But they're fun to photograph.
Oh, I mean, I remember photographing when the Jonas Brothers came back through. So, because the Jonas Brothers disappeared for a while, a good maybe 15, 20 years. 15, 20 years doesn't seem that long to me now because, I'm 60 years old.
Bye. I'm just kidding.
But wrong band.
Yeah, that's Justin Bieber, But anyways, the Jonas Brothers. So their first tour, they did a stadium tour, but I guess they didn't pull as many as I thought they were going to pull. So they probably could have played a half a stadium. But I remember all the shirts. I love dad bods, and that's when that dad bod vibe started happening because these guys are dads now. They're fathers. I don't know how old their kids are. Probably maybe kids maybe middle teens now or something like that. But you always get great photos of a boy band. I don't care about if I get a choice of shooting a boy band in a stadium or a heavy metal show, I'm gonna take the boy band show in a stadium because I know I'm gonna get amazing stuff. Because in a stadium, more than likely, they're going to have us shoot in front of house. So I've got the gear to shoot at front of house, and and I can pull everything in, and it's just really cool.
And they live for those moments. I feel like the boy bands, they know that everybody's taking their pictures and filming them, so they give you those shots.
So they're going to go ham every time.
Yeah, yep. And what's crazy is then you got your K-pop bands. Your Korean pop bands, and that's like boy bands on steroids because there's usually 8 or 9 members, and they're all dancing. It's like the choreography is so tight. It's crazy, and it's really, you really can't photograph them without photographing the entire, because you need to photograph. To me, you got to photograph them whole as a stage because they're all doing the same thing. It's more impressive seeing them all in sync, at the same moment than one person in particular. Yeah, I tried to. I put in for a Justin Timberlake show a couple years ago. We got denied. I was bummed out. Maybe it was. I think it was like after the
Okay.
DWI
Okay.
in New
Question
York.
for you, because
Yes.
I've had this issue myself.
Okay.
When you apply for PhotoPass, PhotoPit, any of that, do you use Live Nation?
So when
They
there's
don't like
Live
me for
Nation,
some reason.
okay, so Live Nation shows, yeah, I will do the portal,
Yeah, I've done the
but
portal.
doing the portal, but I'm starting to rethink that approach. I put in for a show and was not approved. You know, that's fine. But the thing is I never saw anything from that show. So not approving me, I don't even think that band received any publicity from that show here in DFW.
Because they'll send you an email. You'll get your answer in 72 hours to 24 hours prior from the show.
Right.
They'll send those. Then there's no follow up. That you
Right.
got it. You
Rob,
got the
I
client.
told you the secret.
Deal with the
I told
publicist.
you we're gonna order those backstage for life passes off of Temu. Come on now. We can get them for $10. They're for life. Backstage passes for life.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Yeah. And the typical response, you know, is the tour is unable to accommodate your request. That's what it says.
And that's bullshit. And I'll hand to God, I'll say it. That's bullshit. Because
I feel like the Live Nation employees would let me in if I had a handwritten Live Nation backstage pass from Temu.
Yeah, and it's like I just didn't understand.
I'm not trying to bash any company or whatever the case may be. I just think it's a little messed up of not responding back, or have you wait outside for 2 hours in the heat to get a hold of somebody. Oh, you're not on the list. When I did the tire protocol.
Yeah. I mean, I like it because it's a direct line. For the bigger shows, when I shoot for the wire company, I'll do that. I have in the past reached out directly to a publicist, and I may start going that route more. But I will say the Live Nation portal is nice, it's convenient, but sometimes I feel like it's just a shot in the dark. At the same time, like I said, I wasn't approved for the show, and I'm okay with that. But the thing is not approving me for the show. The tour did not get any publicity off of that stop in DFW. And I don't recall, I have not seen any photos, because, you know, everybody loves to post their concert photos online and stuff like that. I haven't seen any photos or links of coverage for that tour. So
they dropped the ball.
That's pretty on.
They should have hit you back.
So, you know, they sent me the response. You know, the tour is unable to accommodate your request. And the show was like 7 miles from my house. And it's like, well, you know,
even better yet.
You know, just no publicity, and that's what these bands need. So it's just
I would have still shown up and tried to walk in. I would have had my handwritten pass.
So
I've been like, you don't know me? You don't know me? I'm going in the side door. That's how you do it. You just don't acknowledge that, like, you don't have something. Like, you just go for it and just always have, like, one of those, like, lanyards or whatever they're called. Yeah, like, you just always have one of those with a card in it. I've walked into places, I've put a Pretty Little Podcast cards with our QR code in one of those things and walked into something before.
Oh, goodness. And the thing is I at the time I did not know who the publicist was because I kept trying. I kept trying to find, do a Google search, and I couldn't find it. And eventually I just kind of stumbled across it, and it's like, wait a second. And it's like, well, it's too late now.
They don't always sometimes answer at all either.
Yeah.
Like I write emails every day.
So I will. The thing is, I'm able to, have the capabilities of covering the entire event. And what I mean by that, writing the review, writing a preview, because I do a lot of writing also. So, writing to me is second nature. I know it's a task and struggle for some people, and I get it because I remember those days. But I can write and it just starts flowing. I don't know why or how or when that triggered into my little brain that, dude, you can write. And I just start doing it. And, so I took some public relation courses after I graduated from, TCU in the mid 90s. And so those courses gave me the writing skills. And we're talking about, man, that was 30 years ago. And so
that's what happens to me when I start talking. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a professional yapper. I'm really good at talking and filling that blank space.
Yeah. But I mean, I love writing. I will, I could write a playlist. And but the thing is like I could write a playlist, but it's just not like, okay, I listen to this, and that. No, that's not my playlist. I mean, I start with the introduction. And so like when I was photographing the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 at Dickies Arena for women's basketball, college basketball back in March, I mean, I was writing, I was writing what I was writing about what I was listening to and stuff like that. But I also was talking about, what was happening at the arena and, I went to this press conference this morning and, a specific quote this coach said caught fire on social media. And it's like, wow, I was the only photographer there that, heard that. There was reporters there, but, I was there and I got the only photos from that specific press conference that, he said that quote in. And so, but because I'm such a music fan, I can just roll. And I've got, I don't know how many albums on my iTunes on my computer, but as soon as I come up from, let's say, shooting a sporting event outside, I'm the heat's probably got me beat down, so I'm just exhausted. I'll put in some Pink Floyd, "Wish You Were Here," and just start, editing. But I can write, a piece about me editing while listening to Pink Floyd, "Wish You Were Here" or "Dark Side of the Moon," or maybe something else, an instrumental that's a little on the, the tamer side of things. So,
okay, has TMZ or like any of the news outlets, have they ever tried to contact you for something that you got a photo for?
No,
I was just
they
throwing
haven't.
TMZ out there for dramatic, but it could be
Yeah.
anything.
No, but see, the thing is,
Well, that's pretty much the main one.
Yeah,
to be honest.
when I upload photos, to the wire service, I mean, there's media outlets all over the world that have access to those photos. Unfortunately, I mean, we get paid, when someone uses that photo, but the thing is, there's not a tracking device to find out who's picked it up. I remember about a year ago, I was just like doing some research and I ran across a Turkish newspaper or Turkish publication that used one of my Jonas Brothers photos. It's like, oh, cool. Didn't you know about that? Cool. I got paid for that, I remember coming across something. Wall Street Journal used one of my NCAA photos during tournament time. It's like, oh, cool. I got published in the Wall Street Journal, but I never could find it. But, I went to Google and it pulled up the image. But so I ordered a hard copy of the paper because I wanted that. It wasn't in the hard copy, but it was on the online version.
Yeah.
The online version was gone, or it still might have been in the archives, but I didn't want to pay $9 for a month just to go take a look to satisfy, oh, wow, cool, there's my picture. I wasn't going to do that. So, I mean, I don't know who pulls the photos. I just know there's, clients all over the world. I spoke to my editor today and she gave me the green light to go ahead and start applying for some Dallas Wings games because there's a client that wants photos of a specific player. So the Dallas Wings games tomorrow night, the credential window was already closed. So I'll be, I put in, hopefully I'll get approved for, I guess, the next Dallas Wings game, I think is maybe next Tuesday. So, I mean, I don't know. You know, it doesn't bother me if I don't get, approved. That's just all part of the game. It's like, okay, move on to the next one.
The question is, your book on Amazon?
Yes, sir. The book is on Amazon. And here it is again, you know, friends, family, fate. Oh, photography, friends, fate, and fun. I've experienced some crazy things. Not crazy being like, you know, breaking the law or anything like that. Crazy as being, when I was a kid, I wanted to go to concerts so bad, but it was kept from me. You know, I literally had to plead. It was kept from me. And I didn't go to my first rock concert until 1981. And I was going to be a sophomore in high school. That was my first rock concert. And so, and I talk about that and how big of a deal it was. And then my second concert was a couple months later. And then, you know, and then I was petitioning, lobbying, or whatever I needed to do to try to go see the Diary of a Madman tour. And I'm not going to tell you what happens, but that story's in the book. But so music played such a big part of, you know, of me becoming a photographer. It's just crazy. I just sit here wondering if I was allowed to go to concerts back then, would I be who I am now? Because, you know, I have a saying, a good friend of mine, he coined this phrase. He says, we grew up, we just didn't grow old. And that's so true. You know, I still feel like a kid when I'm at a metal show, or whatever. But the thing is I'm in the pit working. Whereas like back then I was like, oh wow, man, what a cool gig, you know? So
I still live for those moments. Like I don't know. Like
yeah,
I feel like I'm always gonna like live on the side stage. Like, and I'm spoiled right now because I have so many people that like offer me to be able to like take pictures and like do all that because of the media thing. And
right.
man, like it's crazy. And especially like being able to see things from like just that angle also, it's
Yeah.
it's a different feel.
Yeah, it is.
I'm
You know, unfortunately, everybody, you know, they get a camera. Well, how can I get photo passes? It's like, well, you need to be with media outlet. Once you cut your teeth on the local club circuit, on some local bands, I know that's not what you want to hear, but that's just part of it, you know, because there's people ahead of you that have been doing it longer than you, and you know, and they have the capabilities, you know, to do these things, but they started out exactly where you are. And so I don't know if it's the immediate gratification generation. I don't know.
To be honest, numbers matter as well with that.
Yeah.
I mean, your portfolio matters. Everything matters.
Right.
So it's not like you just going in and saying, "Oh, I'm taking photos today at whatever." Like what I would suggest is start with the dive bars.
Yeah.
And then work your way up.
I was very fortunate, you know, when I kind of discovered, you know, photography, because I bought my first. Here's what's crazy. I bought my first camera on December 31st, 1984. I bought a Canon AE1 program, and I took pictures of my first band in a club in February. So only after 2 months of having the camera, you know, I took pictures. I had to borrow a flash, you know, from a friend. I didn't know what I was doing, but I took pictures of a band in 1985. You know who that band was in 1985? And that venue now, where I live, that venue is no longer up, but the building is only like 2.5 miles from me. So that band I shot for the first time was Pantera, but it was with
Holy shit! How
but
was that?
well, I saw Daryl play. The first time I saw Pantera live was in August of '84, and so Daryl was 17 at the time, and he was just amazing. So I can't say I was spoiled on the local club scene because we had some really top tier bands, and back then you had bands that would tour they would tour regionally or nationally. They would come through and they play a week, and then they move on to the next major city. So, I mean, there got to a point we expected Pantera to get signed at any time. I remember when the whole Phil Anselmo transition, occurred. I mean, I remember all that stuff. I saw it. I might have seen Phil's second gig with Pantera, I think. I thought it was his first, but I think it might have been his second, or like within his first 5, in a club. But I bought the camera at basically January 1st, 1985. And then I was in college. I was at a junior college, then in the fall of, was it the fall? Yeah. So the fall of '85, or was it the spring of '85? I can't remember. Anyways, I took a photography course. So I learned how to develop film. And I was on the student newspaper. I didn't know what I was doing, but at least I was on the student newspaper. And then I was on the student newspaper again, and then I transferred into TCU a year later. Then that's when things kind of got serious because I'm photographing Southwest Conference D1 college athletics. And then I had my foot in the door, there, and I was talking and speaking with other photographers that shoot for the major dailies, the wire services, and all that. And this was like in '86. And so I graduated high school in '84. February of '87, I had my first major arena photo pass, and it was crazy. And that was only like just a little
You
over.
leveled up quick.
Yeah. But the thing is having my foot in the door and shooting at TCU on the student newspaper, and and then submit some stuff to the major daily here in the city, that had something to do with it. I kind of got my foot in the door. So you know what my first major arena tour was? Slippery When Wet.
Oh, Bon Jovi.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so Cinderella was on the bill. And so that was February of '87. So two of the hottest acts of the year, in the same show. And I wasn't even out of high school 3 years. Where it's like going to a concert was like pulling teeth, and not even 3 years, maybe 2.5 years, 2 3/4 years of being out of high school. Here I am in a photo pit at the arena that I just like worshipped, because that's where
Okay, I have a question for you. Since you've been in those kind of crazy pits, I didn't know we were taking it there. How do you avoid getting hit?
With what?
With
Anything.
elbows, with bodies, like with whatever they're like tossing around in the pit. Because I'm tiny, like I'm 5'3", so like when I'm in a pit, like usually I'm like elbow heights.
There's different situations for me in the photo pit. I mean, there'll be shows where there's a photo pit, and so the crazy thing is these photo pits now seem to get wider and wider. Like the Alice Cooper photo pit, it must have been like 8 or 9 feet deep, and I didn't know if that was because the stage was up so high, so they didn't want people, looking straight up. They could like look up, but they're not, cranking their necks back. But if I'm shooting a show with no photo pit, I will like if it's a second level, if there's 2 levels, I will go up to the second level, start shooting to begin with, use one of my longer lenses, and then I work my way down. And sometimes I have a step ladder with me, and so I'll have a good 20, 30 feet in front of me, but I got the gear that pulls it in, so that's what I do. I don't have to be up against the stage.
That's an idea. Bring a step ladder.
Yeah. That is, if they'll let you bring it in. But yeah, the place I shoot a lot at, and I'll be at.
Well, if you bring a
So
step
let's
ladder,
start bringing a step ladder to Artie's.
you bring a step ladder and a hammer, they think you're fixing something.
Walk in with a hard hat and a yellow vest.
I'm gonna start walking into meet and greets like that.
I
With my
mean,
pink tools.
It helps. And so this one venue, it's a theater, but each section on the floor is a step up.
oh, okay.
Okay, and then they have a balcony, which is not that far, and it's a good, and so it's in a higher level, and I can shoot down, I can get a nice overall stage shot, or I could, zoom in. And I shot a show. What show was it? It was Bleed from Within, I think is the band
Oh, wow.
called.
Okay.
I shot that tour, and there was a band on the bill called, I think they're called American Ghost.
Okay.
They're from Boston. Man, I got some amazing photos of that front man. He was very charismatic, and I got some great stuff, and I didn't have to be up against the stage. I got some really nice stuff from the second level. And then I got down on the floor level, but on the third section, so I was still up above, and I was on my step ladder, so I was, I was like knee level with the guy, and it was great. I got hands and people in front of me, but I'm getting some really nice images of him.
When I get knocked off my step ladder, like I'm definitely gonna post it on TikTok.
Yeah.
Just letting everybody know if you're watching.
Well, what I do is I pull out the step ladder, but then I put the wall directly behind me.
Okay.
I put the
I
wall.
think I'm just gonna start walking in with pink duct tape because I feel like duct tape can fix anything. So like I'll be valuable no matter what.
Yeah. Or, walk in, have a flashlight hanging around your neck and turn it on while you're shooting. So,
Excuse me.
Flashlight, duct tape, and a drum key.
Yeah. There you go.
Just walk around with a single drumstick.
No, literally the key for the drums, because they lose them son of bitches all the time.
Yeah.
Earplugs. Earplugs are a valuable thing to have on hand.
I talk about wearing earplugs in my book.
I always have them.
Earplugs are important.
I always have them, and I forget that I have them.
It's like, here's the crazy thing. I'll carry my keys in my right pocket. In my left pocket, I'll have three things. I'll have my business card holder. I will have my earbuds, and then I will have like a little earplug case.
Okay.
So I put little foam earplugs in there, and then I got my guitar picks in there. So I got those three things on me, and those were with me every single day. So when I'm shooting sports, I wear earplugs, because if you get in the big stadiums outdoors, yeah, you're outdoors, but it can still get really loud. And I tell you what, some of these D1 schools, they'll have these cannons, or they'll have these huge, massive air horns. I will position myself purposely on the opposite end of the field and just shoot from that side, because when they score a touchdown, you better have earplugs in, or you be ready, or you need to be ready to plug your ears, because that's loud. I remember I was in the third quarter of a football game. I was processing some photos, and the cannon went off, and literally I'm in this photo workroom in the press box behind press row, and the freaking walls were shaking. That cannon went off, and the walls like vibrated and shook. I was like, damn, man, I'm glad I'm not out there. And then I got the crazy idea. Oh man, I'd love to get one of them cannons and roll it out New Year's Eve, fire it off once, shatter windows, roll it back into the garage, and try to let people figure out what the hell happened.
That sounds like fun.
Oh, I always like to make fun. I like to get creative, or maybe just do it from the backyard.
I could be in your next book.
Yeah.
So one last question before
Yes, sir.
We have to wrap this up.
Okay.
Except for the book that you just written.
Yes, sir.
What do you want to leave as your legacy behind you?
Oh my God. I don't know. I've never really thought about that. I'm just me, and something like that's never occurred to me. Someone that never, I don't know. I mean, music was such a huge part of me, and I craved it. And I think getting into the club scene only took the claws of music and sunk them in deeper, because watching Daryl Abbott as a 17, 18-year-old in the club, I was very fortunate to be able to witness that, and so it was somebody that loved music so much, and then he actually did stuff with music, as well as sports. I really wasn't a big sports person in school. When I was a kid, I played little league baseball, but as I grew older, I was still a little bitty shrimp stick kid, and everybody else was getting bigger, and I chickened out, and I didn't go to pony league. And so I guess what it is the music never left my my blood flow, my veins, or whatever. And I still do it to this day. So here's somebody that found something that they truly love, and they do, and they did. I was a teacher for 15 years, and I presented at state conferences. So I want to be remembered as the cool teacher, because I would tell my kids, enjoy this class. I guarantee you will never ever have a teacher like me ever again.
Oh, I love that.
Because here's the funny thing is, so I had this girl. I was a sixth grade science teacher. I had this girl, and her nickname was Punky, and she was a big Black Veil Brides fan. So it's been about 10 or 12 years since I had her, and I asked her one day. I said, "Hey, Punky, I got a question for you." She goes, "Yeah," and I said, "What kind of name is Ashley Purdy for a dude?" And her eyes, just like her jaw dropped. And she was looking at me. I said, "You don't expect your teacher to know that stuff, do you?" And then another year, like it was my last year teaching. The kids were working on their computers in the hallways. I was walking around, and I see one of my students. She's looking at pictures of Slipknot. I go, "Oh, that's Joey Jordison," and she just turned and looked at me like. I said, "You don't expect your teacher to know that, do you?"
We know stuff.
Yeah.
And so I guess I was a really good educator. Unfortunately, I got tired of working, 7 days a week at times. And then I left education and went back to what I was doing in college, and that's photography. So I was able to walk away from it, and there's reasons why I walked away from it, but I got back into it. But I had a good run, in between. I was successful at stuff. And so just somebody that was really down to earth. He loved what he does. He accomplished things he never thought was possible. As a kid, I never thought as a kid that I would have like photos on albums, shooting album artwork and stuff like that, or photos that appeared on albums. And I never would have thought like that. Somebody would have told me that in high school, I would have gone, "No, I don't even have a camera," And so it's just crazy, It's like I can go my album collection, pull out, man, that's my stuff I'm looking at.
Look at me now.
Yeah.
Look at me now.
I'm just a down to earth, guy that was a single dad, took his child in at 17 months, and now she's off doing her thing, and I'm still doing my thing. And her dad's not your typical dad. I don't stand around in little golf shorts drinking wine talking about whatever. No, that's not me. So
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and let us get to know you better.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Can I plug my Instagram site if anybody wants to?
Yeah,
I don't have much up there right now, but it's I got stuff up there. Do what now?
Yeah, plug away.
Yeah, so it's on.assignment.photo. And that's my Instagram. It's got my latest photo is about 6 weeks old, because that's when the sport started, winding down. But, I'm hoping to shoot some WNBA here in the next couple of days. So, I'll get some of that stuff up. But yeah, follow me, because, once the World Cup is over, things will start going up, because then college football season kicks in, and then I'll just start throwing stuff back up there.
Yeah, those pics will start flowing.
Yeah, I mean, anytime I get, approved for a show, I'll throw that stuff up there also.
There you go. Everybody, make sure you go on and follow.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking time to have me on here. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I look forward to hearing this playback.
and then we'll see everybody next Wednesday, I believe. Same time.
We'll see when we see you. No, I'm just
Exactly.
kidding.
Yeah. So where would this be available that I can